Hey everyone, welcome back to Warhammer 2. We're jumping into a 2v2. I'm playing as the Dark Elves, so I've brought... I'll just slow it down so I can show you. I have brought a Cold One chariot. I really like these chariots. Putting them into melee attack for when I want to charge them into infantry, and if I want them to take out any singular high targets, put them back into missile fire and run them away to skirmish mode. I brought a Black Dragon and Malekith on his Black Dragon, so they're going to do quite a bit of terror and harassment from the air with their noxious breath to start off. I brought a cheap front line so I could get some of these higher level units towards the back, and my Reaper Bolt Thrower, and some Witch Elves to back them up. So my Bleak Swords being my main front line, supported by the Death Hag, who has encouragement and also a lot of fear and terror inducing, which will help with my Bleak Swords. Then I've got my Reaper Bolt Thrower to do a little bit of damage against the enemy, and some Dark Shards with armor piercing to help take out any heavy armored units, and my Witch Elves in order to shred through and poison the infantry lines. So we'll see what the enemy has. My ally has brought Illyrian Reavers, a front line of spears and white lines of trace with some spearmen to back them up, and then a couple of archers. Okay, so the enemies. The Lizardmen have brought 3 lots of skink skirmishers, a feral Carnosaur, a feral Bastillodon, some Kroxigors, and a really small front line. Oh no, over here too. Oh, they've split themselves up. That is interesting. Of Skink Cohort and Saurus Spears. Over here we've got Kroq-Gar not on his mount, which I would probably not recommend. Generally I'd recommend bringing Kroq-Gar on his feral... I forget what it's called. Anyway, on his high level mount, so that he does have a lot more anti-large and is a little faster. Then he's got some Kroxigors coming in over here too. The High Elves, they have just brought a whole line of Lothran Seaguard with shields. Okay, that's interesting. And then a Mage of Life and some Dragon Princes to back them up, with the Princess on her Moon Dragon. So that is very interesting. Let's see how the battle played out. So the Mage of Light goes charging straight in. I wouldn't have recommended that. I get my Reaper Bolt Thrower to target some of these Lothran Seaguard in order to help get rid of them. And then I charge in my Bleak Swords, and seem to have forgotten about my Witch Elves for the moment. But I end up getting my Cold One chariot around the back, so I can charge them in behind, hopefully. I probably should have set my Reaper Bolt Thrower to multi-shot. I completely forgot to do that. Okay, my Bleak Swords are in. I did attempt to do a Wind Blades of... forget what it's called. What's it called? Blade Wind. That's it. To do a Blade Wind in on there, but I ended up missing a little bit. Did a little bit of damage, but not quite to the desired effect I had. Finally remember my Witch Elves to charge on in to these Lothran Seaguard. And then I've got my Bleak Swords and my Death Hag charging into these Kroxigors, and my Cold One chariot chasing off these last few Skink Elves. Malekith casting his noxious... nope, it was quite a few spells to remember actually. Was his Gaze of Malice, that's it. Quite a good Winds of Magic spell. a good wind spell. Doesn't require any magic as well, which is pretty good. Casting a Blade Wind down on these Lothran Seaguard over here, absolutely massacring them, making it easier for my High Elf counterpart. As you can see over here, we are having a little bit of trouble because of there being so many large units over this way, but my dragons charging on in changed that battle completely. Being rear charged and their leadership quite shaken, they end up routing quite quickly there. And my Dark Shards tearing through their armor quite significantly. And there we go, they end up all routing off. And I end up giving chase, I think, with my Malekith. And my Cold One chariots now charging into the back lines of these Lothran Seaguard over here that are going to be taking on my Witch Elves. Love these units. Okay, we end up mopping that up, and then we end up running over to help our High Elf counterpart over here, who is kind of getting shat on at the moment, unfortunately. He is in quite a lot of trouble. But as you can see, we come running over and end up saving him from the wrath of these skinks and Lothran Seaguard. Although, mind you, his archers were doing pretty well, all things considered. Whoa, they have a massive range. 180, Jesus. That is pretty large. Okay, a Flock of Doom cast against me. But I end up giving my guys a bit of rampage and massive damage with the Death Hag. Death Hag just goes pounding through these Lothran Seaguard and Skink Priest. All of these routing units probably should have been brought straight back into the battle. That princess should have tried to dive down and take these, or using those knights that they had to get around the back and charge in from behind. Because letting them just fire as they are really wasn't a good idea. As you can see, the princess dropping in health quite quickly. And the battle is all but basically over now. Getting my Cold One chariots to just chase off these last ferals over here. And my dragons, Malekith, my black dragon, to take out these scragglers. And then the battle was basically cleared up. All the High Elves retreating from over here. We've only got the last couple of skink enemies, and then I get all my units to just chase these guys and make sure they don't come back. And we end up with a Pyrrhic victory. We'll have a look at how well each of my units did. So my Black Dragon did very well, taking out quite a few units, as you can see here, 101. Same for my Cold One chariots, they did fairly well too, charging into the backs of those infantry lines with 81 total kills. My Witch Elves did exactly what I wanted them to do as well, support these bleak swords and cause fear and terror and poison to all within their range. And my Death Hag supporting those quite significantly. So it all worked out pretty well. Even my Reaper Bolt Thrower without the multi-shot, which I should have remembered to change to, but I did not, it still got 69 kills. That was pretty good. Anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed. They did alright overall. Nothing really stood out except for maybe this one lot of archers. What about These guys. Okay, the princess didn't do too badly. Their dragon princes should have been used a lot better. Not just charge straight into the front line. They needed to get around and take out all these archers that he had. Same for his Illyrian Reavers. They didn't really do all that good either, did they? Anyway, hope you've enjoyed, and I'll catch you all next time. Bye.